and I want to address that. I'm sure, because I see it on social media and in my inbox and in the chat and anywhere I go around town, and certainly on my phone for those that have the number. There are a lot of emotions that are still at play here. And then you go home or throughout the course of the day, you see a name of a player who has announced his intentions to go into the transfer portal. And you think, because you're emotional, because we're all still reeling from what just happened, is the whole world falling to pieces? What is going on? Is correlation, causation? Like, what do we have here? What is happening? Is it because Florida State got screwed that this kid decided he wanted to leave? And should I be concerned that it's all crumbling? And I would tell you, don't do that. Don't do that. Because that's not happening. Luckily, this is a separate conversation, and it has to do with where we're at in this process. And it's a relatively new process. And that process is, it's changing, it's growing, it's adapting. And I'm talking about the transfer portal and the NIL game and the collectives that are dealing with that. And so it's fascinating because I find it very interesting to watch. But it is strange and stranger than it will be moving forward because it's on the heels of what just happened. Right. So it just feels like it's all happening at once and that it's caused by this thing. But what we're finding out is that kids, not all, and I'm not going to get specific with names, there's sort of a misunderstanding of what the marketplace looks like. And the serious collectives, the schools that have in place a Battles In or something akin to the Battles In, right? Who understand market forces and what's happening as this thing continues to develop. They understand that year over year, sustainability is not going to be defined by succumbing to the whims and the demands of every player that has a good season. It can't. I mean, you have a budget, even if it's a healthy budget. You're not going to reset the market for players if they demand something completely unreasonable because they don't understand that it doesn't just keep going up. You can't just keep asking for more. If you watch The Wire, the cost of the brick doesn't always go up. So this is where we're at, okay? You got to have an understanding of that. And I don't know that all the players all over the country really do. But there's going to be sort of a come to Jesus moment for a lot of these guys, for a lot of players, not just at FSU, but at schools all over the country. This idea that I'm going to play my great season and parlay that into millions of dollars for myself, because even though this group may not be willing to give me whatever I'm going to ask for, I know that this other one will or this other one will. Well, they won't. They won't. There may be very few exceptions where that is the case. When NIL and the collectives first became a thing, we saw what happens when crazy money is thrown at a problem with no structure and no real organizational goal and understanding of the long-term path that they wanted to go down and build as a business, or in this case, as a collective. You saw the failure at Miami and other places where Ruiz and people like that were throwing money at a problem and it was not sustainable. You think about how people become worth hundreds of millions of dollars or billionaires. It's not throwing money at a problem without a return on investment. Right? It's also not sustainable for people, no matter where they went to school, to say, you know what? Hey, I understand we're in the wild, wild west. It's new frontier, and you need my money, and I have a lot of it. And I have, let's say, $50 million, and I am willing to give $1 million or $2 or $3 to you because go team. Because I want to win. I don't want us to get passed over by my rival or anybody else in this conference, and so therefore What do you need? Oh, we got to give a quarterback $6 million, $9 million. You got it. You got me. At some point, people go, whoa, 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 whoa. Also, when they take a step back, they realize, well, what are you going to do next year? What are you going to do the next time a five-star quarterback wants to come to your school and they're aware that you threw $7 million at the previous quarterback? Yeah, they're not going to take less. And you can't sustain that. So we're watching the give and the take and the evolution of something that is very new. And it affects you every time you see a name, whether it's a player on your team or somebody else that you'd love to have from another team. And you think because of a social media announcement that it's happening. But it's not happening. It's not necessarily happening. There's no guarantee that it's going to happen or that it won't. The point would be if you get really good news about a player who goes on a social media app and says that he intends to enter the transfer portal, understand that perhaps that's true, and perhaps he's using that to try to leverage more money he's never going to see. Other times, it may very well be that he, in fact, intends to go into the transfer portal. Of course, when you do that, you can't just tweet about it. You have to go to compliance. You got to go to your coaches. You got to fill out paperwork. There's a lot you have to do. Can't just be that I'm sitting on the couch and I'm pissed off because I asked for some money and nobody gave it to me. And now I'm hurt. And I think Ohio State's going to give it to me. You sure about that? You better be. I remember years and years and years and years ago, I was green in this business. And I gained a little bit of popularity locally and did some other things nationally and started to have a bit of a foothold in my career. And I went to the company for transparency purposes. It was Clear Channel. This is many moons ago. I'm talking about 20 years ago. This isn't the stuff that happened that some of you may remember when I left there. And I thought I was doing really well. I had a great ratings period. I had done exceptionally well. And my producer at the time, Matt Millar, was like, look at these ratings. And I went home and I thought, I'm broke as hell. I live in this tiny ass apartment and I got to borrow money for a beer. And I'm awesome. This isn't cool. Look at these ratings, man. Where's my money? Did you guys just see the book I had? And I went in with that mindset and said, I want more money. And I had no other job offer at all. I didn't think it through. I just assumed everybody would want me because I was dumb and green and had never done it. And they went, well, you have done very well, and we're very encouraged, and we're very excited to watch you grow, and that's why we hired you. We think you're great, but you have a contract, and we're not going to give you any more money. And I went, well, that sucks. And I went back to my car and drove home to that apartment. And I thought, you should have thought this through. You don't have any leverage. And I think there are kids all around the country right now at their respective schools going, I'm really good, man. I've made a bunch of tackles. Look at me. Somebody out there in this crazy world of college football is going to give me $700,000. No, they're not. No, they're not. You're not Caleb Williams. You're not going out to Los Angeles and getting sponsored by Beats. You're just a pretty good defensive lineman. No, man. Nobody's going to do that. So when you hear the kids say what they're saying, understand it could be a harbinger of things to come. They might be leaving, or they're trying to negotiate through social media, and they ain't going nowhere. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But you cannot suddenly be affected emotionally, especially in the wake of having been affected emotionally by what's going on right now. Take a deep breath, take a step back, and say, we'll see. We'll see. We can do the Zen Master story. We'll see. That's really good news. He's coming back. We'll see. We'll see. Man, we're screwed. He's leaving. We'll see. We'll see. That's where you need to be. Let's breathe. Let's breathe.